Have you ever thought, why don't I see spirit? Why don't I hear spirit? Why don't I receive messages from spirit? Maybe I'm blocked. Well, if you've asked any of those questions or had that thought, this video is going to be exactly what you require today. So when people come to me with questions like that or thinking that they're blocked, the first thing I say to them is, you are receiving information and you're not blocked. And they're like, well, how come I can't see and I'm not receiving? And there's actually a really simple answer that is going to be like mind-blowing. You're receiving the information, but your brain is doing a great job at putting it in the junk pile, deemed not important, before it comes to your conscious awareness. So today we're going to dive into that a little bit deeper because I just love the science behind this. So picture this, you're in a room, it's a party, say it's a Christmas party, it's really loud, the music is going, there's like a ton of people in there, and all of a sudden you hear through all the noise, all the chaos, all the party vibes, you hear your name being called. You look across the room over all of these people and you see your best friend calling your name, waving. Your brain honed in because it's been trained to hear your name. Tick. That is important. The brain did a great job. But spirit isn't loud. Spirit is quiet. It is subtle. Messages are usually felt within the body. Seeing spirit is usually in the imagination. Hearing can often be with your own voice. These subtleties have not been what we've been taught when it comes to Hollywood, when it comes to what we believe psychic mediumship is. So today I'm going to take you through a process so you can actually tune into the subtleties of spirit and we can start reprogramming the brain to make the intuition, the energy, and even seeing, hearing, and receiving important. So the brain can put it back into the to-do list, back into important, so you can start receiving so much easier. You're not blocked. So a little story first before we go into a practice. The first time I did a reading, I had this knowing that I was a psychic medium and I didn't have any proof or evidence and I thought I was a bit nuts. So I wanted to prove one way or the other, am I nuts or am I psychic? So I asked an acquaintance who I didn't know very well, but she was a client of mine because I was a hairdresser. And I knew she went to the spiritual church and she was into all the woo-woo. So I said, do you mind if I practice a reading on you? Because I'm really nervous, I trust you, and I don't know a lot about you. So I think it would be a really good way to see if I actually have this gift. And of course, I'd been so petrified of doing anything like this, being brought up Catholic. I had never used oracle cards or crystals, and I knew nothing about the chakra system or anything spiritual. It was all Hail Marys and Our Fathers and going to the church, right? So we sit down, we go into my lounge and we sit down and I grab my cards and I start shuffling them. And I heard this little voice in my head. It was my own voice that said, put down the cards. So I put down the cards and I was like, okay, I'm going to trust the process here. And I closed my eyes and I said, what can I see? And I went into my greatest imagination and all of a sudden I see a man. He looked like the guy off Gone with the Wind, Clark Gable. And I see the way he's standing and his height and how thin he is. And he's got a moustache. And then I can see a child pop up, another child pop up. And I'm just going with my greatest imagination. I have no idea if my mind is playing tricks on me, if this is true. But I didn't have too much skin in the game. I didn't know this person. I wanted to know whether I was accurate or not. So I had no cards. I had nothing. I was just raw and vulnerable. I opened my eyes and I said, I'm just going to tell you what I saw. And I told her I saw a man and two children, a boy and a girl, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, similar age. And she said to me, and I'll never forget it, that is my uncle. I've been trying to connect with him for the last 3 years. I've been to many psychic mediums. No one's been able to bring him through. They were his children and the mother of the children fled in the middle of the night, taking the children, and he didn't get to see them again until I reunited them together many years later when I was overseas, and etc., etc. And he'd come through to say thank you. I literally couldn't believe it. I covered my mouth and I said, "Are you lying to me?" Because I had never in a million years thought that my imagination would be the thing that would be the psychic mediumship abilities. I was expecting to see in my mind's eye something separate from me, to hear something separate from me. And the truth was, I was shit scared of seeing and hearing. She told me that was the best reading she had received. And I was able to actually tune back in once I wasn't so scared of getting it wrong, the fraudulism that comes along with doing something like this, tuning into a different part of us. And I was able to give her a message and go backwards and forward. That's my first reading. Wow. I share this with you because my greatest imagination and the subtlety and bringing in the Clark Gable, I was Gone with the Wind, and these children and the age gap, and just telling her what I could see was phenomenal. She said to me, people used to say he looked just like Clark Gable. Hello, Gone with the Wind. Where on the earth would have that come from in my brain? That is crazy. I don't remember that from when I was really, really small. That's so ancient. So many people probably don't even know what that movie is, right? But it came in a song, it came in a vision, it came in with a message from the heart, a visual, the color of hair and eyes, the energy of how he was standing, all in my mind's eye and all so subtly. This is where the magic is. In your greatest imagination, the subtleties that you can create. If you're coming from your heart space, you can't get it wrong. But it's quiet. Now think about this as well. A feather landing, a 111, a monarch butterfly, not once that day, but everywhere you go. A name, a certain name constantly popping up. We deem them as coincidences. We see them as, oh, it's so subtle, it's just another coincidence. We want something loud and bold, like someone calling our name so our brain can tune into it. The truth is, spirit comes in whispers and little nudges and little flashes. And when we are present, and we're going to do a really cool process in a moment, when we are in presence and we're not in monkey mind and we're not trying to prove something and we're just being, and we're going, you know what, full disclosure, I might be a fraud. Full disclosure, I might get it wrong. But that's not going to stop me from trying. And that's what I did on that day. And I didn't know that 9 years later, I would be telling you the story, creating my 60th kind of program about mediumship. I didn't in a million years think that I would retell that story. So it just goes to show that the subtleties and the things that don't seem significant can be very profound. Has this ever happened to you? Something that intuitively you're having a chat with a friend and you just knew something and they're like, how did you know that? Or you give me the best advice, or oh my gosh, someone says, can I please have your guidance? And you pull them a card, you tell them something, it makes no sense to you, but it makes sense to the other person. And this is a thing that I tell my mediums all the time. 99% of what you say won't make sense to you, but it's going to make sense to the person that you are talking to. And that is what I learned that day when I was doing this practice reading, not thinking much of it. Yes, I was absolutely petrified. I had to grow some courage, but the rewards were massive because I put myself out there with no expectations and it worked. It really, really worked. I was half expecting you to say, I don't know what you're talking about. And what I've learned now is even if you get a no, you're so much closer to getting your yes. We've been trained to get things right all the time, to stay safe all the time, and to listen to evidence and see evidence and make that bold and make that real, and ignore anything that isn't in your face, where you can see with your eyes, hear with your ears, or, see, like straight up, like see in a physicality. This is where the gold is. This is where the intuition is, in the subtleties, in the nuances, in the presence. What is landing for you so far? What are the things that are popping for you? Comment below, let me know. Let's talk about this. And in a moment, we're going to go into this practice so I can prove it to you just like I proved it to myself. You may ask questions after we go through this process. Like, was that my imagination? You might even know that it was true, but then it might fade. And you might deem it as just one of those things. I often say to people, if you saw an angel right in front of you giving you a message, you would probably doubt it the next day. Was that my imagination? Or did I actually see that? And the brain goes, it must have been your imagination because no one else saw it, right? So come into this with an open mind and let's start strengthening your muscles, clearing out, getting ready for you to start using your intuition on a much deeper level. I'm going to invite you now to find somewhere really comfortable where you will not be disturbed. And I'm going to invite you to close your eyes down. You're safe, you are guided, you're loved, you're protected. Close your eyes down now and come into your heart center. I call this the inner matrix. Just relax the space behind your eyes, relax your shoulders, relax your hands and your feet, relax your tummy, relax your hips. Nice deep breath in as you're breathing in deeply into your belly. Breathing out your mouth and just letting all the words go. Coming into that heart space a little bit more now. And visualizing a little flame in the center of your heart. And now I want you to visualize that you are inside of the flame. Inside of your heart. And in fact, within this space, you are in your very own room, your inner matrix. Visualizing yourself with this beautiful flame around you. Inside this room of your choice. Decorate the room. Maybe it's blank, maybe it's out at the beach, maybe it's in the forest. Let your greatest imagination take flight. Wherever you are, whatever you are visualizing, I want you to notice that there is a door to your left or to your right. This door is glowing gold. Go to the door, stand at the door, and notice the doorknob. Maybe it's gold, maybe it's another color. Is it round? Is it long? Is it big or is it small? You're standing in front of a golden door with a unique doorknob of your own choosing. Behind this door is spirit with a message for you. Maybe it's a spirit guide, maybe it's a loved one in spirit. It doesn't matter who it is. What matters is there is a message for you. And when you open this door to receive the message, you are going to receive the first thing that you see or hear or know. Whatever comes through in whatever way, you're going to allow it to be so. Maybe it's a message of love. Maybe it's a word of wisdom. Standing in front of the golden glowing door, I invite you now to open the door and receive the message from Spirit. How do you feel? What do you see? What do you receive from Spirit today? Just trusting whatever you get. Focusing on your heart space and knowing that whatever you're receiving is perfectly divine and for you. Whether it's an image, whether it's a message, it could be a smell, or it could be a present. Once you've received, I want you to close the golden door, trusting this process of what you initially received, and knowing that you may only be aware of a tiny part of what you received today, and the rest will come into fruition in the divine, perfect timing. I want you now, on the count of 3, to come back into your body. 3, 2, wriggling your fingers and your toes. 1, blinking your eyes open, wide awake. Fully energized, completely back into your body. Beautiful. So that was a process that I love to use to strengthen the muscles of intuition, of energetic intelligence. And the more we do this type of processes, the more we are going to be intuitive, rather than listening to the brain over the heart. The heart is the space where we can access our deeper innate knowing and wisdom, because your psychic mediumship abilities, like I've said so many times already, are within you, and they're just being remembered. So yes, we can say they're being activated, but the truth is they're being remembered. I always say, yes, I'm a psychic medium and a spiritual empowerment coach, and the truth is, I'm not a teacher. I'm here to help you ignite what you already know. I would love to know what popped through for you. What was the message? What did you see behind the golden door? How have you enjoyed today's call? I would absolutely love to know. Comment below. Let me know. Let's have a conversation. And tomorrow is going to be lit. So make sure that you're there. I can't wait to see you. Until tomorrow, namaste.